Hello everyone and welcome again. So I have the edge displacement fixed, and this is our geometry with the displacement in SOPs. And if I use an exploded view, you will see that we have a perfect edge displacement and there is nothing affecting the edges and everything looks perfect. Now the issue with what we were seeing before is that we don't need to compute the normals. Houdini needs it to be a vertex attribute, and it does it under the hood if we don't provide it. So by using a facet node and computing the normals, it's actually generating the wrong data. See, if I enable it back and turn on post compute normals, it's not giving us the result that we want. So I'm going to disable that for now, and Houdini will figure out the correct data that it needs. Cool. So we have edge displacement. If we play with the noise, we can push that, and we can increase the frequency. We can do whatever we want to do. Cool. So let's go back. Now, because we're doing this as a post process after the transform, this is what we will get. If I hit play, you will see that the surface are flickering. Okay, so the surface is going to flicker because it's going to lose the correct orientation for this. See, it's flickering a lot, so we need to stabilize all of that. Now another thing that is also contributing to that is because we're using P and it's changing every frame for generating the noise, so we need a rest attribute. So let's create a rest attribute, and then let's dive inside and bind import that rest, and it's a vector, and now our noise is going to stick to the mesh. Let's go up, and if we hit play, now the noise is going to stick, but you see the normal. Look at the surface, for example, how it's changing. When it's somewhat aligned to how it was before, it's gonna look fine, but as once it's oriented differently, it's not gonna work. So how can we fix that? Well, we can fix that by applying the same transformation that is happening to this mesh to our custom attributes, and that is being X and Y. Okay, so our X and Y needs to also rotate and get the same treatment that the transform pieces is doing. And the way this is working is it takes the geometry, it looks up the name, and applies a matrix that is stored on the packed primitives. This is how the transform pieces work. So what we need to do is we need to change this node a bit. So I'm going to allow editing of this node. I'm going to dive inside and find where this transformation is happening. So if we go through this, we'll see it's pretty simple. And there is this node called XForm, which is the matrix transformation. And here it's getting the attributes. Here it's looking up some vertex attributes, and here it's doing the actual transformation. So let's play through. If I disable this, you see nothing is happening. We're not getting that transformation. So all the magic is happening here. And if we, for example, look at the normals of the mesh and play this, you will see that they are sticking to the mesh correctly. Okay, it's not changing like it's doing for our vector. If we dive inside here and look, there is this part here that says v at n multiply equal rot, and this is the matrix. This is the transformation matrix that we need to use to rotate our vector as well. And right now it's only doing the n because that's what side effects needs, and then we're going to change to do the same thing to X and Y. So I'm going to copy this line. Actually, both lines. I want to make sure after the rotation happens that my vector is still normalized. So we have X multiply equal by the rotation matrix, and then this is X, and then we normalize it, and we're going to do the same thing for the Y axis. I'm going to do the same thing here as well, normalize it. And if we go up, I'm going to put down a new transform node that doesn't have this change so we can compare. And we're gonna switch. So this first, and let's take a look. So this is our displacement happening. And it's the new result. And if I play through, you will see that the normal, it no longer happens. That issue with the flickering is no longer happening. So if we switch back, you see, it's not working as we expected. And if I set to 0, the displacement is going to work and be just fine. So that's it. That's what we need. We need to transform whatever vectors we have using the transform pieces, whatever data we need to be transformed and respect the new position of the pieces, new orientation, we have to include that in the matrix, in the rotation matrix. And now the last piece of the puzzle is we need to do this at render time. Okay, so instead of doing this here, we need to do it at render time. But at the moment, we have a high-res mesh. Okay, so this is a high-res mesh. And what we need to provide to the render is this. This is what we will send to the render. So I'm going to make a copy of the entire setup, and we're going to use a low-res mesh and then subdivide it at render time and do the edge displacement at render time. We'll do that in the next video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in a bit. Bye bye.